Now we have a strange story involving backlash towards Heinz, the maker of ketchup. They recently launched a new product. It's some kind of um, what is it? It's like a pasta.
I guess a pasta.
It's a new kind of product that Heinz is offering. It's a family size pasta sauces, and there was an advert that they created that got a lot of people upset. They said that it was racially charged, racist in nature, and they weren't having it. So Heinz bent the knee and they, issued a apology publicly, but that didn't stop people from going off on Heinz for what they felt was a racially insensitive advertising campaign to promote their new family-sized pasta sauce. So this says Heinz apologizes after ad featuring black family sparks anger online. Heinz has apologized after an advertisement displayed in London tube stations featuring a black family sparked anger online. The US manufacturer, which recently launched an ad campaign for family sized pasta sauces, was criticized for promoting stereotypes in a billboard advertisement spotted at Vauxhall and Manor House stations. The advertisement depicts a bride, a black woman, enjoying a forkful of pasta seated next to a white man who is presumably the groom. The billboard appears to show the groom's white parents and an older black woman, seemingly the bride's mother. Some social media users criticize the advert for erasing black fathers.
Mhm.
The author and Guardian contributor Nels Abbey wrote on X, "For my brothers and sisters, because believe it or not, black girls have dads too." The post has since gone viral. So there's the post there. One ex user responded, "Total erasure of black fathers by such a mainstream brand is shocking. How did this get approved?" So, I may have gone over this a bit too quickly. So there's the advertisement again. So people are saying that it's perpetuating negative black stereotypes of absent black fathers is essentially people's gripes. Another wrote, "Yes, it's beautiful, the interracial relationship, and they wanted to keep five people on the table, but the erasure of black dads is not fair." In response, Hines told The Independent, "We always appreciate members of the public's perspective on our campaigns. We understand how this ad could have unintentionally perpetuated negative stereotypes. We extend our deepest apologies and will continue to listen, learn, and improve to avoid this happening again in the future." Other X users interpreted the advertisement differently, highlighting a phrase in the bottom right hand corner of the poster which reads, "Based on a true story." One wrote, Wouldn't traditional wedding seating mean the bride's father sits next to the groom's mother, meaning the man on the left is the bride's father and the groom's father is missing?" Another agreed. "Seating arrangement for a top table at a wedding is the bride's father and the groom's mother next to the bride. The groom's father and bride's mother are next to the groom. It's the groom's father that is missing." The advertisements are reportedly part of a media campaign celebrating rule breakers who defy conventional behavior to enjoy Heinz' new range of pasta sauces. In the
Boy,
advertisement in question, the bride spills pasta sauce on her white wedding dress. The
damn.
Guardian has contacted Heinz. Well, the Guardian has contacted Kraft Heinz for comment. So, um, well, what do you think is going on here? Do you think Heinz was in the wrong? Were they perpetuating stereotypes of the absence of black fathers? Were they should they have given an apology? Was the backlash warranted? What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, there's a lot going on with this. I'll start off by saying that I see a lot of advertisements do stuff like this. I'm not really surprised when I saw the ad. So um, I'm not surprised by the interracialness. I'm not surprised by a missing parent somewhere. For the black person. But then the whole science of oh, that's the groom's father's missing, and because of seating arrangements, and I don't get into that. There must be some UK stuff, or I don't know how that works. But from the naked eye, this does just look like uh, where's the dark father? And so you don't necessarily see it. But again, I don't know why this one is sparking an outrage, because you could just watch a football game and watch commercials and you see that go on in all kinds of ads for all kinds of companies where there's either one parent missing or whatever, for black people. So to me, I just take it as standard issue. Unfortunately, I would say, I guess, that this is just kind of how advertisements work. I've noticed this trend quite a bit. So I don't see the difference between this or anything else. Now, for them issuing an apology for it, yeah, I mean, why not? Because there's going to be enough people that do see this that will interpret it as racist, or it going viral online and people seeing a racist element in it. So you gotta have to issue this apology. So I think that these, personally, I do see, like I said, like, if you care to look, because I used to have that eye. Now when I see it, I go, But before, man, I was really, um what's that, Eddie Griffin on Undercover Brother? No, not Eddie Griffin. I was Dave Chappelle on Undercover Brother. Every damn thing was a conspiracy. Every damn thing was racist. So I had the trained eye to see the subconscious, subtle things that were being said, and subconsciously just looking at this. One is not going to say, "Oh, that's the groom's father over there." They're just going to look at all the lighter hues, associate that with the woman, associate that with the man, and see the two dark people and associate that with the dark people, and then automatically assume that the father's missing. So yeah, I think that these things happen quite a bit. I'm not surprised. Um, I think there was, this last thing I'll say before I let you go. There was this commercial. I don't know what it was, but I'm sitting there watching college football, and they were kids. They were kids, and they would show uh the white kids with either with both parents. They would show a white kid with both parents. Then they'll show a black kid and they're just with their mom. Then they'll show another ethnicity of people. I forgot what it was, but they were with both parents. And I was like, now that's pretty interesting. So let's see when it loops back around. If they show another black kid, and sure enough, they showed another black kid, and they were just with one parent. And I said, now what are the odds of that? Now that commercial came in, went off. It was a real heartwarming commercial, but to me, these things are speaking to a certain part of people's brains. And so Heinz ain't the only one that do this, is my point. And so for whatever reason, this one went viral and people want to talk about it. And so they had to issue an apology. But if you will, bro, I'll text them to you. There's examples out there where this stuff is going on all the time. So to me, this is just standard corporate America advertisements. I see it all the time. And hey, it is what it is, man. I don't expect anything different, to be honest. But what are your thoughts on Heinz? Hey, man, with this ad, is it racist? Is it something more sinister, or is it just a regular thing? Should they apologize? What are your thoughts, man?
Well, they had to apologize because the internet was mad. So you can't be dismissive whenever the internet gets upset. You do have to be mad. Yeah, Kraft is Heinz, the Kraft Heinz company. Um, they've only cared about they've only cared about specific messaging that impacts all communities for 4 years, because every corporation has only cared about that for the last 4 years. No corporation cared about that before 2020. Since 2020, they've all started to care about that and talked about it publicly. I remember, after 2020, um, every corporate, every corporation, from Victoria's Secret to Nike to there wasn't a website I couldn't go to where I would go on to where I would visit the website and they would give me their pledge to racial diversity and their promise to do their part to help end racial inequality. So, as far as I'm concerned, corporate America only recently started caring about this 4 years ago. 4 years is not enough time for you to be able to perfect your strategy for how you go about doing this. You're going to step in some mud because it takes a long time for you to be able to effectively show that you care about non white people, essentially. And this is an example of a corporation that is only 4 years into their lifelong pledge for reducing racial inequality. And they created something not knowing that it might ruffle some feathers. Now, maybe 10 years from now, they'll know that they can't do this. But right now, as most corporations are only in the infancy stages of having the right kind of sensibilities to know how to effectively appeal to non-white audiences, they're going to step in some mud. This isn't the first one, and it won't be the last one. You see, Lando Lakes and now called the Pearl Milling Company,
Oh,
formerly Aunt Jemima,
oh,
they preemptively got ahead of it by getting rid of their mascots because
goddamn.
they knew post 2020 they were going to be stepping into it. So, kudos to them. They preemptively got ahead of the game. We're going to remove the mascots from our packaging so that we can at least not have to deal with the backlash from those associated imageries anymore. But all of these corporations right now are still in the process of learning how to not piss off non white people. And, I went to the Kraft Heinz website because, every corporate website now has a DEI policy. So, Kraft Heinz DEI policy, which I am 100% sure was here well before they did this advertisement, reads, and I quote, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Here at Kraft Heinz, we choose to welcome everyone at our table by valuing and respecting all voices. All employees have access to opportunities that enable them to contribute and grow. Our focus on diversity, inclusion, and belonging helps us connect with our consumers, attract and grow employees who are eager to leverage multiple perspectives to solve complex challenges and innovate in an ever changing industry. At Kraft Heinz, we demand diversity. Our diversity, inclusion, and belonging strategy is an integral part of the People with Purpose part of our global enterprise strategy and is focused on four key areas: representation, communication and learning, culture, and communities. Now, I don't have access to the back end logs for their website, but I can 100. Let's leave 1% for standard deviation.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
going to say I am going to say that I am 99% sure that that page on that website did not exist before 2020. These companies are still figuring out how to not piss off non-white people. It just so happens that that has become a priority within the past 4 years. Before, they didn't have to care about it because it didn't matter. The world was different. So they weren't held, their feet were not held to the fire if it was exposed that they didn't care. So now that they have to care by default, it's going to take some time before they figure out how to not step their foot in mud. And they step their foot in mud. Did it offend me personally? No, I got bigger fish to fry than to worry about a stupid catch up advertisement. I don't care. But very much like you, my first thought was not, I wasn't doing mental gymnastics like the groom, the groom's mother sits here and
Right.
the bride's father sits there, blah, blah. I wasn't doing all of those mental gymnastics. All I saw was black ladies there. I don't see a black man there. So there appears to be an absence of the girl's parent, one of the girl's parents. That was my initial reaction to seeing this. Did it offend me? Not necessarily, because for whatever reason, that was canceled out by their glaring inclusion of an interracial marriage, which is another thing that these corporations are doing in an effort to appeal to non white people. So that's what this is to me. Um, this is just an instance of a corporate tactic gone wrong. Um, they have to apologize because the internet says you do. You have to bend the knee. You can't get around that. It'll be worse if you don't say sorry. So they have to be sorry. But listen, people, these corporations are now 4 years into being mandated essentially to show that they care about non-white people. So they have to conduct these focus groups and come up with these advertising campaigns that are effective yet delicate enough to simultaneously achieve the growth of the company and societal and social sensitivities. And every once in a while, they're going to step their foot in mud because there's no exact science on how to do that. If you want to think that they're being racist now, I promise you, people, they were like that before 2020. They were like that. They've been like that this whole time. So if you want to get mad at them now, I guess you can. But in my opinion, it's wasted energy because you should have never thought differently about them in the first place.
Hey man, I agree 100%, bro. And I'll say this. So um I can get on board with the fact that they're trying to appease people, and God, gosh Lee, they just messed up. And so here's my thing. So now that we got this going, which I appreciate, so keep it up and keep trying to include people, right? But now I'm going to ask these people to start giving some natural ingredients. So so part of y'all mission statement at all of these corporations, part of y'all mission statements where y'all sitting here giving all these fancy words of how y'all going to just include people in advertisements, right? I also want y'all to be talking about how y'all going to be making real food items and not all these things that are difficult to pronounce. You can start off by getting rid of high fructose corn syrup and your ketchups and other things and your other condiments. So yeah, man, the world's waking up on that too. So start placating to that and start giving us some real ingredients in y'all's foods. But I'll tell you this, man. Yeah, it's all I agree with the fact that it's all about placating to people's emotions and other things, with all this inclusion stuff. And it's very commercial. But what else would you expect from corporate America, man? So that's why at some point, I stopped getting so bent out of shape about it. You know, you know, I just say it is what it is. But the TV, it's like they live. So the TV, advertisement, magazines, everything in there is saying something and it's saying something else. And I don't think anything is by happenstance. I don't operate that way. I think everything out here, uh they do go through focus groups, and they do go through things, and people approve and they don't, and things go out there intentionally, and they have to see what they can get away with. And what are their reasons behind that? I won't delve into those, but I think that these things don't happen by accident. I don't think they're just, oh, we're learning. Yeah, sorry guys. And it's like, yeah, you're learning to see what people gonna call out. And subconsciously, when people look at these things, it is given a message. Whether somebody want to agree with that or not, uh, when somebody sees that, they saw that, and subconsciously, because it's on a back wall of a subway car thing. So, big deal, right? But if people really know how the subconscious mind work, man, whatever we see in our perception, we saw it, and it gets recorded and it becomes a reality in some other type of way. So, on one hand, I'm glad it got called out. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, where y'all at calling out the rest of this stuff where they're doing that garbage? So hopefully, more people start calling out more things from these other advertisers that are doing these same type of tactics. I don't know why this got the steam that it did, but I just think it's interesting. And it's not, to me, I don't think it's race baiting. I don't think it's people overblowing things. I think that with this stuff that's out here going on, the subtle, man, I live in Texas, bro. The subtle racism that I experience on a daily basis when I just try to get regular things done is here. But they'll tell me that they all inclusive and this and that, but it happens. So to me, I think that this is just one of those subtle things that I'm not gonna dig too much into, but it happens, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like it don't. And but I agree with your point to where that they've recently had to really up the ante on including us in stuff, and that I do think that there is some type of ignorance that's going on, but I think the ignorance is, um, I think the ignorance that they have sometimes isn't so much. So, well, it is what it is with this situation. But for me, am I going to get bent out of shape about this? As I mentioned, man, I got over this stuff years ago. I just more or less laugh at it now. So,
Well, when I speak on these corporations that have to figure this out on the fly, I'm
hmm
not saying that they're figuring out on the fly and instituting these policies because they genuinely want to be a part of making the world a better place. They're
hmm
doing it because they have to,
hmm
because it's counterintuitive to being successful in today's corporate world if you don't. So to you can't continue to create campaigns that don't try to appeal to everybody because that's counterintuitive to the growth of the company. It isn't that they genuinely care about it. That's my point.
yeah, for
So
sure.
like my whole thing is don't fall into the trap of believing that these corporations actually care about this stuff. It's literally like not literally because it's not like a law, but it's practically a mandate. It's an it's an implied mandate. It's not an actual rule, but if you don't do it, you're worse off. Like, create advertisements and go about creating campaigns that are insensitive to people racially and see how far that gets you.
Or
So you
sexually.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like you better play ball because if you don't, you're worse off for it. But do I believe that they care necessarily? Not really. It's just in the best interest of doing business. It's why I roll my eyes at the NFL. They do it too. And I don't care how much money they give or whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, until there are here's the bottom line with this. Here's how you know. This is me speaking. This is JV Wynn's opinion. So this is my opinion. This is not Dogon's opinion. This is my opinion. I will believe that people really do care about this stuff the day that you see more non-white people who own stuff. So like let's look at the NFL for example. And this day will never happen, which is why I believe we'll never live in this world. Until there are more non-white owners than white owners that are owning NFL teams, I won't believe that they actually care. They're just doing it in order to be able to funnel the agenda. Until the majority, until at least 51%. Let's just go with the 51-49 rule. Until at least 51% of major international corporations have CEOs that are not white, I'm not going to think that they actually care. Like the leadership at the top, the people who make the vast majority of the money at the top, the people who eat the most when it comes to these corporations are people who are mandated essentially to care about this kind of thing because it's in their best interest to care about it because they have to because of the climate of the world. But I personally would believe that it was a real thing if the people who were in charge, if the people who were in positions of leadership, if the people who ran the corporations, if the CEOs, at least 51% of them comprised communities that are actually affected by some of the things that these corporations want to help fix. Does that make sense?
hmm
So until we live in that world, I'm always going to roll my eyes at this stuff and say, well, they got to do it because they got to. But to get upset about it for me, um, I don't really care because I never believed them to begin with.
Yeah, yeah, agree, bro. And yeah, this stuff used to drive me up a wall. Not so well, kind of, sort of. But yeah, like I said, man, nowadays I look at it and I go, what are you gonna do? We don't own the damn company.
Yeah,
So
exactly. We don't. Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, I don't expect anything else. So
yeah.
but yeah, it happens that way. But But and I was just bringing up the point for people out there that don't think that these things happen more often than this one thing. That was my point, is that it happens all the time. You know, so
this to me is water under the bridge.
mhm.
Like unless until Kraft Heinz has a black CEO, to me is water under the bridge. I don't care.
But
Like
even
I
that,
don't care.
and
Yeah.
even that'd be a DEI hire. So
Right. Yeah. Like until
they
the
don't really have an opinion either.
yeah, until the NFL has a black commissioner, to me, I don't care what they do. Until at least 51% of the owners are not white, I'm not going to care what they do. Until 51% of these international corporations are not run by people who aren't white, I don't care what they do. Like to me, this is water under the bridge. I don't
Yeah,
care.
agreed, bro.